A very good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this 82nd edition of the Together for Education webinars brought to you by Notebook. Week after week, month after month, it has been our privilege to play host to some fantastic thought leaders and educators on this platform. Today, we have become the largest thought exchange platform for school education anywhere in the world. And for that, we have to thank all of you for your undying love and support for all so many months. Ladies and gentlemen, before I tell you about our session today, uh, we just came to know a few days back that one particular person, a relative of one of our attendees, was a regular follower of this webinar until a few months back. Unfortunately, we lost her due to medical negligence. Well, we at Notebook extend our sincere condolences to the family and the loved ones, and also dedicate this particular episode to her memory. I'm sure wherever she is looking down at us and showering her blessings upon us. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are talking about a very interesting topic, the activity clubs in schools. As you've seen, the Together for Education journey started with the more curricular topics. We moved on to the extracurricular and the co-curricular. A few weeks back, we did a topic of day boarding schools. And one of the things that came out was that after school hours were over and students were still on the campus, they were taking part in various activities through these activity clubs. Going back to our school days, I remember I was the happiest student if I could get out of class, get into these activity clubs, and spend my time there. Today, however, these activity clubs have become far more serious, and they have become the breeding grounds of some phenomenal talent across so many schools. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we take a closer look at activity clubs across various schools. Our first speaker today is Mr. Philip Barrett. Mr. Barrett retired as the Deputy Headmaster from the Doon School in Dehradun after 44 years of serving in school education across various institutions. Mr. Barrett serves the Doon School as Housemaster, Head of Department, Dean of Activities, Dean of Student Welfare, Deputy Headmaster, Second Master, and Acting Headmaster with great distinction. He also carried out a visioning exercise for the Doon School in the year 2011 through an in-depth study of a number of British public schools and various schools in the US. Mr. Barrett qualified as a leadership trainer at Wellington College, UK in the year 2000. He is also an athlete, an adventurer, and a naturalist. Sir, privileged to have you with us. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Subayu, for that introduction. And a very good evening to all at the Notebook team in Calcutta, as well as our esteemed panelists who I'm looking forward to hearing from, and all those who have tuned in today. Activities and clubs. So whether you call them clubs or hobbies or spare time activities, anything you want, I would also add to this publications in school and societies and clubs. And this is the time of day, and I endorse what Subayu just said. This is the time of day that the students most look forward to because it gives them a break from their routine academic work and takes them into areas that they love doing because it is their aptitude and passion that pulls them to these areas. And many of these develop at home before the kid joins school and are furthered in school. And often they are discovered in school and the hobby grows bigger at home, when the father buys them a bigger camera, etc. Now, these activities and club are a very important positive add-on to a school's curriculum. Apart from excursions and community service, which we have spoken about in previous webinars. And this just gives the children that much more holistic education, and the school standing in society really, increases because it's offering a larger buffet of learning opportunities to their children. Um, Care must be taken not to mix hobbies and activities with community service and excursions, because the last two mentioned are more compulsory activities, while hobbies and clubs, to be more effective, must be optional. If you force a child to take an activity, he may lose interest. You've got to cajole him. You've got to encourage him and excite him. Um, by its very nature, hobbies uh, are not supposed to be compulsory. I think it's the teacher's skill and expertise that draws children to an interest. Um, if it's also a time when a teacher can connect with the student outside the classroom, which is very important. It's a very important part of a teacher's relationship with the student, because he won't get problems in the class if he relates to him, let's say, in the carpentry shed. Um, uh, it gives many children who may not be good at academics a chance to excel in an area, um, and show himself and get a prize and get an award and get mentioned at speech day and assemblies. So it gives the child who's not academically inclined something to live for. Um, Now, in most schools, clubs are organized within the school day, in day schools, or after school, up from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. In residential schools, it's a very important part of a boy's life, because we need to keep them busy. And so, holidays, Sundays, even late up to the night, people are practicing drama and the annual play and music. So, in day schools, while it's very important, the time slot is not always easily available. And in boarding schools, it becomes a very important part of a child's learning. Now, these activities, to be useful, they must be varied, and there must be a huge plethora of activities. And a child, I think the rule should be that once you choose an activity, you need to stick with it, show staying power, and you may change after maybe a year. Young children should be encouraged to choose and jump from activity to activity. But by middle school, I think you need to start focusing and concentrating on one or two. And then as a senior, I think you must now dedicate yourself to one activity where you become the secretary or the boy in charge or whatever, the girl in charge and all. And there's a huge area to choose from, from philately to art to computer science, doing the school annual, photography, robotics, organic farming, gardening, quilt making, aero modeling. And in a residential school, there's far more to offer, because there's audiovisual clubs, there's metalwork, there's campus upkeep, there's gardening squad, there's sculpture, there's bird watching, nature clubs, cooking clubs, paper recycling, compost making squads, astronomical society. There's even a club which has a dedicated bunch of students who take visitors around the campus, like for a walk to excite the visitors about their kids joining school. Lost property clubs, weather reporting clubs, dramatic societies, science societies, the commerce forum, mountaineering and adventure clubs, and the list goes on, poetry writing, elocution. Now, schools normally would like to employ experts and instructors to run these clubs. But a lot of schools have very talented staff with their faculty. And if the staff has a certain particular leaning or passion towards one of his own interests, then there's nothing like that. Because when a staff member is keen on something, like a biology teacher in my school who was passionate about discovering bugs and smuts and certain fungus on plants, he started a club and he drew a bunch of students who were keen on biology into his club. And that's the best form of starting a club, where the club is led by the idiosyncrasies and the passions of a particular teacher. And important that a school prepares a second line, because very often a teacher gets up and leaves and the club comes to a standstill. I think a teacher should have a understudy or a young teacher who he instructs along the way, so the club has a continuity if the teacher should get up and leaves the school. Also, I think it's important for the school to every now and then take stock of how these clubs and societies are running. If there's a defunct society which is really not moving, or there's a teacher who's disinclined to be the master in charge, I think then we scrap that club and put something else on. There is no point in a club forced to continue just because the principal has to speak about the clubs at, say, the annual day. Clubs don't run that way. Um, if a teacher is uninterested and is forced to run an activity, a negative attitude will set in and the children will just leave the club. Just to give you an idea, in my years at Doon School, as a young man in my 30s, I ran clubs like the Road Maintenance Club, the Carpentry Club, the Audiovisual Club, the Doon School Weekly. I was in charge of the generator squad, very, very high demand because we had to move these generators on little rickshaws to wherever they were needed. I was also in charge of the Geography Modeling Club. I was also in charge of the Weather Reporting Club. And then, of course, I became a bit senior in school. And so they pulled me away from all this great fun and shoved me into an office where I had to work till 6 o'clock, attending meetings and pushing files. I much rather have done my club work in the afternoon. Now, it's important that students run the club. It's got to be student-centric. So you have a master in charge and you have a secretary or a treasurer or boys in charge of a club, because it is in the running of the club that children learn so much. How does the club function? You have meetings, you take down minutes, you have an agenda, you might call a guest speaker. If you're running the art society, you may have an artist speaking to them once a month. You have to lay on a tea, maybe a taxi, maybe you have to write invites, inviting the person, a thank you note after he's finished, a gift that has to be packed and presented. You might have to make a small speech. All these are incidental learnings for children who work on these hobbies and club, in schools. And there's so much incidental learning that takes place just by being a member of a club. Every school, of course, has its own catchment area, its own flavor, its own traditions, its own history. And therefore, you can't follow another school. Every school has to choose for itself what clubs and associations and societies best suit the children of that area. You might have a language club. You might have, some schools may not have the place for a gardening club, but they may have something else. You may have a weather reporting club. Many children choose their careers in later life, not based on their academic subjects, but on their clubs. They go on to furthering a career in cinematography, dramatics, music, not because they were good in studies, but because their clubs gave them a love for something that they chose to do afterwards. It's very good for a child's CV. It just fluffs up the CV. Most colleges in India have a quota for extracurricular activities. I know boys who were very good in studies, but just didn't make the cutoff. But they got in because of their music. If you look at the Doon School, we've had a few people like we've had Rohit Khosla and Tarun Teliani, who spent their time in the art school, drawing women and dresses. They became the great fashion models. We have a man called Shaukat Sikand, who didn't do well in studies, but he was a river rafter. And he started all the great river rafting, camps up in the Ganges. Anish Kapoor, he was a sculptor. He was in the sculptor room, one of the world's best known monolithic sculptors. Amitabh Ghosh and Vikram Seth wrote for the Weekly. They were just writing in the Weekly all the time. They started their early, journalistic writing career at school. Roshan Seth and Ali Fazal, who's making a name for himself, were dramatists. They did drama. They wrote plays. All these few people I've mentioned started life in school with their clubs. And I must end by saying that the best way to start a club is it should be driven by the departments in school. So if you have a maths department, the maths department should think of clubs like the maths forum or the maths colloquium. The science department should have a nature club or a physics society or a chemistry club. In our school, the geography and humanities department ran the historical circle. And the club has to have a newspaper. The children have to write reports, which get into the annual magazine. So just by being a member of the club doesn't mean you just attend meetings. You also write for the Weekly. You put a report in. You have guests, as I mentioned earlier. Departments must make budgets, must have budgets to run their club. And the budgets must include a little bit of tea parties and little functions, guest speakers, and keep minutes, keep a logbook. So departmental run clubs work the best. These clubs can then also organize trips and excursions that we talked about some webinars ago. You know, the Geographical Society goes to Rome, or the Art Society goes to Paris. These clubs might have essays and short story writing competitions or science fiction writing competitions. So a club goes much beyond just half an hour of work or 1 hour of work a week. There's much more to be done if you run a good club. Um, these clubs lead to a holistic development of a student. So, for example, a boy wants to do physics later on in life. He goes for a physics interview to a college, and they ask him how can you prove that you're interested in physics? He just can't say that, oh, I got 95% in physics in my ISC or IB. No, I belong to the Physics Society. I heard so many people speak. I wrote a paper on physics, got published in this magazine. I was in charge of the physics magazine. I made this following models. So the club life attached to physics gives physics as a subject that much more build up for the boy. And it encourages the examiners to know that he really loves the subject. And with that, I want to hand this over to Subhayu. I hope I have said enough on the importance of clubs, societies, publications. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. As always, like every other week, we again benefited from the vast experience you've had. We knew that activity clubs were a big thing at the Doon School, and we were confident you'd be the best opening speaker for this one. Our next speaker, ladies and gentlemen, is Achin Bhattacharya. Achin is the founder and CEO at Notebook. A chartered accountant by training, Achin was a director at Deloitte prior to starting Notebook. He has worked in India and abroad in various senior capacities in GE, PwC, KPMG, and Deloitte. He is a fellow of the ICAI and a member of CP Australia. He is also the recipient of the prestigious Indian Achievers Award. Achin is an avid reader and a passionate traveler with keen interests in economics, history, literature, and philosophy. He is a regular speaker at various forums and chambers of commerce and also contributes articles to numerous publications regularly. He is also on the board of some of the most renowned corporates and contributes significantly to their brand strategies. Achin, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Shubha, am I audible?
Yeah, Achin, loud and clear.
I once again welcome all of you to today's session on a topic which is not only interesting, but is actually very important in ensuring the holistic development of a child. I remember a year back, little more than a year, just before the pandemic set in, I had visited an esteemed school and also got the opportunity to interact with the members of two of its clubs. One was the martial arts club at the school, which equips students with self-defense mechanisms on top of training them how to control their temper, which I found very important. Students met for training once a week. These sessions, promote unity in the group, impart important values like discipline, which remain part of their life even after school years. Likewise, I also remember meeting members of the debating club. So they participated in debates regularly, and naturally, it did a world of good to their communication skills. I was a keen debater myself, but as Shubhayu also mentioned at the beginning of the session, the bar has been clearly raised, and no doubt about it, and that's something that makes me so happy. Even last year, when Notebook hosted 0 Hour, and we saw so many wonderful speakers amongst our young friends, young students, that's something that really made all of us so happy. And there's no doubt about it that these activity clubs are contributing a lot to the holistic development of a child. I was going to do some very important research on this, and it shows two different aspects. One, so talking about this particular research, there was a study which was done in England. 6,400 children were surveyed, and it was found that taking part in organized sport and physical activities at the age of 5, 7, and 11 were almost 1.5 times more likely to reach a higher than expected level in mathematics at the age of 11. So, among 6,400 children who were surveyed, some who were taking part in activities vis-a-vis those who were not taking part. It was found out that the chances of those taking part doing well in later stages was almost 1.5 times vis-a-vis those who were not taking part. So the difference was apparent. Two other very important aspects came forward. And one of them, I think, is really worth mentioning. Disadvantaged children who attended after school clubs also fared better than their peers who did not take part. So thus, these clubs clearly demonstrated improvement in academic performance and social skills, which is equally important, very important in today's world. And the impact was really great, especially among disadvantaged children who otherwise did not get the opportunity of exposure, of interacting, of being able to develop, and nurture their talents. Now, fast forward to today's times, after a year of pandemic, and time which we always considered a very precious commodity, still it is undoubtedly. But what we've seen during last 1 year, time is one thing that kids had, being confined to their houses, being confined to homes. So thus, amid the schedules of remote learning, kids also need a breath of fresh air. Thus, for instance, time to start journaling, catching a science podcast, and even children at home may as well learn their way around the kitchen. Living through pandemic undoubtedly has been frightening and frustrating, with the routines of daily life being disrupted and the entire world being on pause. It's like too much energy and too little space, too much time and too little to do. Thus, helping children understand their emotions and how to manage them is especially important during this strange time. Thus, again, for instance, if it comes to traveling, today, unless it's really urgent, our travel is limited by the perimeter of our own neighborhoods. Thankfully, children can still see breathtaking sights in faraway lands, learn about people, animal, cultures around the world, and even travel back in time with help from internet. But, now when we are seeing things improving and when we really hope and we look forward to schools reopening, there's no doubt about it that schools and local communities are full of exciting activities that can really spark a child's imagination and capture their attention. Bharat sir gives some fantastic examples of great achievers who started their pursuit for excellence at a young age during their school days. And those activities and the way, they're able to continuously work on their interest and nurture their talents eventually led to pinnacles of success. That I think is really important for parents also to observe a child's likes and dislikes and consider what they may or may not be interested in taking part in. And then accordingly, looking at the school or wider community to find appropriate clubs for them. Especially, again, today, in today's time, as I was telling you, bored kids at times, things really come to a standstill. Especially when we're staring at weeks of summers, sometimes down the line, when even online school activities may not be there. So it's really important to utilize time productively and work on activities which will be useful not only during school years but for the entire lives. Now, few very important extracurricular activities, if we just try to categorize them, and I was going through some reports and accordingly how they actually help. So it's a no-brainer. Sports, for example, the benefits of joining a sports team are extensive. Encouraging a healthy lifestyle, skills like teamwork, problem solving, communication skill, even you know, when it comes to networking, when it comes to developing social skills, reaching out, I think sports can do a lot. How to bond with the other person, how to work in teams, which not only during school years, but even far beyond, even during professional lives, these are skills which takes us miles. Again, volunteering, another very, very important aspect. And we did a complete session on this, especially as Bert's also mentioned. So at times, there are two, three very important ways of looking at it, especially for senior students. Of course, it's important in school as well. And when I look at this particular topic, I believe that the seeds of imagination, most of these activities, they start during school years. And later on, as if students really find interest in it, they nurture it, even during their college years and beyond. But definitely taking part in community service, volunteering really helps a child. Also for senior students, especially those in college, at times part-time job experience, trying to understand how things actually work in a professional setup, goes a long way in not only strengthening their resume, but also strengthening their character, building them, shaping them up for years to come. Again, another very important activity, or the way I look at it is, considering the fact that democracy is so close to our hearts, and our students who are going to be the future custodians of our democracy, undoubtedly taking part in student bodies, say for example mock parliaments, school governments, trying to understand how to actually function in a democratic setup, how to take all opinions on board, really helps. Another very interesting and important activity which I believe is student journalism. So shaping up communication skills, contributing to the school journal, definitely this can go a long way towards a very satisfying and rewarding career. Again, another very important aspect is culture-based clubs. As we all know that something, say for example, topics like film, music, language, games, whatever interests a child, getting involved in relevant clubs, give them the chance to socialize with like-minded children. I think that is very important. And accordingly, they make great friends. Again, on coming to the creative side, the art side, as we all would agree that creativity is a key asset. There's no doubt about it. Thus, getting involved in arts club and taking part in activities like, for instance, theater club, taking part in plays in the campus can really help. Students can also join dance teams, orchestras, choirs, and perform. So many schools have troops where you can boost your confidence, where children can really learn how to perform on stage. Now, performing on stage is not only about shaping up acting skills, it also gives great confidence. It really helps a child to face the world in later part of his or her life. Accordingly, improve communication skills. So we all have discussed earlier also in this forum about model United Nations clubs, so where children mock parliaments. So these are great activities. Even business development groups, especially for senior students in college, B schools, etc. These really go a long way in shaping up their careers. Now, coming to benefits, benefits, I believe, are far ranging and, and really help in building lifelong skills. First of all, undoubtedly, a child learns new skills, which otherwise, you know, within the walls of a classroom at times may be difficult. For instance, someone involved in sports, developing teamwork, leadership, problem-solving skills. Someone involved in music, say playing a musical instrument, requires perseverance, hand-eye coordination, and above all, creativity. These are skills that provide continued benefits long after education is completed. Even if you look at the correlation, like as also discussed in the research earlier that I discussed about the research that happened in UK with 6,400 children, we all would agree that this really boosts academic performance because a lot of the skills that lie at the heart of these extracurricular activities can be used during core academic subjects as well. For instance, education requires solid problem solving skills, creativity, critical thinking, application of knowledge, memory. To varying degree, you can find extracurricular activity also has an impact in these areas. And research has time and again established a link, developed a link between these two. Thus, important academic outcomes like reading, mathematical achievement, and course grades were all found to be positively influenced by children who engaged in these activities. Again, coming to development of social skills, which I believe are as important as academic skills in order to succeed in today's world. Because in these clubs, away from the classroom, it's a great opportunity for children to mix with like-minded children and do something that they enjoy. This gives them a chance to develop their social skills, meet new friends, and become more confident in terms of communicating in groups. Again, it also leads to development of self-esteem and confidence. Another very important aspect, I believe, is time management, which is so crucial in today's world. We all agree that in our professional lives, irrespective of any field that we choose to pursue, multitasking and time management is one of the key prerequisites for success. So when a child really engages in extracurricular activities, then the fact that he or she tries to balance between academics and these activities really goes a long way in establishing a very solid foundation in terms of improved time management. Then again, practically, as Bert's also mentioned, there are a lot of universities, especially for children who want to study abroad, lots of universities give a lot of emphasis to these activities and for rightful reasons. So these were some issues that I wanted to highlight. Again, there are two other important aspects. One is how can we really make these clubs more active? Ensure that there's always a hustle and bustle and not only a mere tick in the checkbox. So I think another one very important aspect is friendly competition is needed among these clubs. For instance, if it's a sports club, members should be able to train together, form teams, and compete against each other. In case it's a drama club, teachers can also organize competition and members definitely will become far more active. So these friendly competitions can go a long way. Again, as far as parents are concerned, I'm sure that parents also need to take a lot of active interest and support children both emotionally as well as financially in terms of these activities. Now, as far as these clubs are concerned, they really keep the children busy and active and healthy after school. Another very important aspect, which I believe practically is really important. In today's world, when many children are staying in nuclear families, without much social support of joint families or earlier community, especially in metros, staying in complexes, in nuclear families. So they also save parents worrying about children coming home to an empty house or having to make alternative arrangements, because they know that children are children are engaged in something which is active, which is healthy, which is productive, and they are safe and supervised under the watchful eyes of teachers. So that also undoubtedly is very important. So these are a few points that I wanted to make in this very important topic. I thank all of you for giving me patient hearing. We have a great panel today, a very experienced panel, and I really look forward to the deliberation on this important topic. Over to you, Shubhai.
Thank you, Achin. Thank you for that wonderful presentation. As Achin said, we indeed do have a stellar panel lined up for you today. Before I move on to the panel, a little bit about us at Notebook. We at Notebook are an EdTech organization. We make short, crisp videos tailored exactly to the school curriculum. There are two places where these videos are useful. One, when the teachers are taking their classes, you can use these videos to introduce a particular topic. These short videos take less than 20% of your classroom time, and they can be used online or offline as your classes might be. Months later, when the students have to revise these same topics, they also have access to these same videos from home on their personal desktops, laptops, or smartphones, whatever they have access to. And then they can go through these videos where we try and explain complex concepts in the form of very easy to understand stories, and then try and tailor the curriculum so that it matches your teaching perfectly. What I'm going to do now is play you a short clip of one of the notebook videos, and then we'll start with the panel discussion.
Steve, get the guns and come out front.
What are we gonna do today, Dad?
We will do some hunting for good.
Isn't it a crime to hunt animals?
It definitely is. But you will see when we reach what exactly we are hunting today.
What is this? Who did this?
They cut down all the good trees. This will lead to deforestation. Birds and animals that live on trees will eventually die and become extinct if this continues.
But can we not do something about it?
Of course we can. It is called conservation.
So do we just conserve trees? What about animals? Why are we hunting them if we support conservation? Won't they go extinct? That will affect our ecosystem, right?
Step aside from the tree, sir. Drop your axe. I won't harm you if you don't harm the tree. So step aside, leave your axe, and walk away. That is the hunting we will be doing, son. Hunting down the people who harm our ecosystem. Does that answer your question?
It sure does, Dad.
Now, wasn't that a story which got us thinking? It surely is. So, hello friends and welcome to Notebook.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was a short clip of one of the notebook videos. More than 10,000 such videos are available on our website, www.notebook.school, and we hope that you would find them useful in your teaching endeavors. With that, it is now time to introduce our panelists. As Achin mentioned, we have a wonderfully experienced panel for you today. Let me quickly introduce our panelists before we start the discussion. We are privileged to have with us Dr. Orunima Chakraborty, who is the principal of Delhi Public School, Bhagalpur, and the founder principal of DPS Greater Ranchi. She is also the secretary of the VB College of Education, the state coordinator for NTA 2019, and city coordinator for CTET 2019. She is also the advisory board member of the International Journal of 360 Management Review. She completed an advanced leadership program from Judge Business School, Cambridge University in Cambridge, UK. She has a PhD in Integrated Pest Management Research, Indian Institute of Sciences, Bangalore, a master's in microbiology, a bachelor's in zoology, chemistry, botany, where she received the first class first with distinction, and a bachelor's in education. She has been awarded the gold medal by Guwahati University for securing first class first position in MSc and BSc examinations. The Indian Academy of Sciences awarded her the fellowship, and she worked on phylogenetic analysis and intraspecific variability of VAM using RAPD markers. She got the Outstanding Leader of the Year Award 2019 by American College of Dubai at Dubai, Active Principal Award by Indira Gandhi Rashtriya Gyanpeeth for outstanding performance of students, Ideal Principal Award by Akhil Bharatiya Nagarik Vikas Kendra, Outstanding School Leader Award at Indian Education Awards 2017, Excellence in School Leadership Award 2016 at the School Leadership Summit by ELETS Media, and awarded the Nari Today Awards 2017 Woman of Courage by Jagran and INEX Publishing House. Ma'am, privileged to have you with us today. Thank you so much. We also have with us Dr. Bhuvneshwari Rao. With 26 years of experience in teaching, administration, and management of school activities, she has a vast experience and expertise in heading a big team. As a head of managing the school, she is involved in managing around 250 teaching staff, 80 non-teaching staff, and 3,247 students of various ages from kindergarten to the 12th grade. She has a PhD in English from the Mewar University in Rajasthan, an MPhil from CMJ University in Meghalaya, an MA in English from Ranchi University, and a BA in English as well, besides a B.Ed degree. She has received the Best Principal Trophy for continued support rendered towards popularization of science, maths, English, and IT by Science Olympiad Foundation, 2011, New Delhi. She has the International Gold Star Award for Individual Excellence and Recognition of Fleeting Merit, Excellent Performance, and Outstanding Contribution for the Progress of the Nation and Worldwide. Award given by His Excellency Kon Tabbaransi, Deputy Prime Minister of Thailand in Bangkok in 2013. The Glory of India Award for meritorious achievements in diverse fields of activities that immensely contributed for the progress of the society by Integrated Council for Socio-Economic Progress in Bangalore in 2013. Mother Teresa Excellence Award, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Outstanding Principal Award, and the Nepal Education Leadership Award 2019. The Best Principal Award 2019, Best Leadership Award 2019, and the Innovative Principal of the Year 2020 by Smart Circuits. Ma'am, again, thank you so much for making the time and being a part of this panel.
Thank you
I
so
will
much.
stop my share. I'll start my camera so that we can begin our discussion. Once again, thank you so much. Dr. Chakraborty, Dr. Rao, both of you, thank you so much for making the time to be here today. I will start with Dr. Chakraborty first. Ma'am, my first question is regarding your school. Which are the activity clubs that you have in your school, and what are the benefits that you see of having those clubs?
Yeah, I think I'm audible, huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, a warm good evening to all the panelists here and to all the attendants. I would also like to thank the Notebook team, for being very consistent in their cause towards education. I've been following almost all the webinars that are being conducted by Notebook, and the level of consistency and commitment which I have seen in our organization is praiseworthy. And my best wishes to the entire team.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah. So I would like to start a bit little about why the activity clubs are so much required in the new school education, which we are starting post-COVID. The global catastrophe, which shook the world completely, I think has given us some lessons. That is, we have to be humble, gratitude. We should need to take care of, the nature, and the frugal living is very beautiful. And need to be very flexible. Health comes always first. Need to preserve estrogenous factors also defines the success and failures. And today, most of the teachers, I say all the teachers, the entire education fraternity are digitally transformed. So I think these are the lessons which we have learned in the last COVID global catastrophe. And why I mentioned this is because I thought that this are required. There are certain characters, certain human qualities which are required to be inculcated in these children. And these clubs, they present a wonderful way, of inculcating these values. Almost all the schools across the world or the globe have activities or clubs in their schools, because it brings together better social skill, critical thinking, and obviously the teamwork. So the nurturing of the hobbies and working on their leadership skills are enhanced by children taking part in the activity clubs taking place in schools. Now we are also coming up this session. We are having TEDx clubs, the bloggers club. So where children understand where they are good at, and they can pursue that when they take on the education, higher education. But what I would like to introduce, and I would be introducing my school, is a community club. Why is the need? I would just like to, elaborate something on this. Education that these schools are imparting is basically to develop qualities that form the human, basic human qualities like honesty, integrity, wholeheartedness, empathy. And these are imbibed not merely by going through the text practices or the learnings, moral learnings, but it has to be implemented through a practical way. And I feel that community club is very, very important and very must for today. The other reason is, even if you now go for hiring people in the big companies, you will find that EQ are placed at a much higher level than the IQ level of the the participating or the participants or the people seeking a job. So I feel this can be very well contributed in a child right from their school when they have a community club. So the school of my school will be making it compulsory, the community club for all classes from class 6 onwards. And it has been found, we have done a case study actually on this, and we found that it benefited children greatly, both academically, emotionally, when they volunteered their time in, we normally did for twice a month, one in a 15-day time, and towards their, emotional development, academic development also has shown to be comparatively better. Because until and unless the children of today don't learn gratitude, don't learn, they only, I feel the clubs which you have in the schools, which are in place, are development of self, creating or bettering, empowering of one child of their own, development of oneself. But what we need today, what the pandemic has taught us today, is to have a feeling of oneness, to have a feeling of gratitude when this type of pandemic and catastrophe hits the world globally. Then I feel, the characters which we need to build in the children, I think will come on the human values comes through a community club. So I will place the community club. We are having it from the next session, which starts from April, for all classes from 6 onwards. Here I'd also quote the Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore, who said, "We have come to this world to accept it and not merely to know it. We may become powerful by knowledge, but we attain fullness by sympathy and empathy." The highest education in which that does not merely give up us as information, but making our life in harmony with the existence. So education prepares the students, so that they are holistically developed, who can think for themselves, and they should also think for the welfare of the community, for the others. So this club, if it is put in place, I'm sure it, with its aim to inculcate the spirit of sympathy, service, and self-sacrifice in the individual, so that he or she can extend his fellow feelings, fellow gratitude to his fellow human far wide. And this will, I think, also cross all the barriers of caste, color, and embrace the world with humanity in spirit of oneness. And I feel this can only be done when we make community club as an integral part of school curriculum. Because unless and until the human values, rote learning, if we say children, getting good marks in examination does not take a long way. Because you have seen many children who go into depression in the higher classes, in the higher studies, children committing suicides. Why do they do so? Because they are not able to cope with themselves. They are not able to, basically develop or balance their inner self. So until and unless these children take part in the clubs, all the clubs in the schools are equally important, right? From photography, nature, geography club, you have the green club, the eco club. These clubs are there. They will help for the better understanding of the school curriculum. But with the community club in place, along with the other clubs, I think we will be able to inculcate the human values in the child, in the children, who are the future generation and the future of the country. That's what I had to say. This.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think a community club is a wonderful thought. I mean, this is a new one. I am not very sure if too many schools around the country have them, and would be very, very interesting to see what the effect on your students is. Dr. Rao, if I may come to you next. Thank you so much. Dr. Roy joins us from faraway Kathmandu. She is the international participant in this discussion today. Ma'am, the same question, the clubs that you have in your school and the benefits that you see in them.
Okay. First of all, I would like to again express a word of appreciation to the Notebook Initiative, why? For encouraging this critical discussions among the educational fraternity. And today's topic is very close to my heart, and it is of immense value. I would start saying that at this point, if we ask ourselves what made us of what we are today, a prompt answer would be my parents, my school, and my teachers. And again, if we pose a next question, what in school? A pat answer, believe me, in a loud pitch will be activities, activities, and activities. So I say today's topic is very, very close to my heart, and thank you so much for bringing it. I think much has been said by Bharat sir and Achin, and of course, Dr. Arnima. So I would just like to focus on what we are doing in our school and my experience with this club, with our students for last 15 years, I would say. We all agree that student activities are integral part of the school program, and it is here where the students enjoy immensely, and it prevents them from getting perplexed with the classroom learning processes. And I would also like to say one more thing, that students are the reservoir of bubbling energy. And trust me, if a school fails to channelize it productively, as Dr. Arnima has brought the issue of depression and all, they will use it in undesirable pursuits and thereby putting their future in jeopardy. So when we move to our school, we have clubs in 2 clusters. In cluster 1, we have the department-run clubs and the extracurricular clubs. And cluster 2, we have this community service clubs. And the students of our school have to choose at least 2 clubs, one from the cluster 1, and the next one, cluster 2, is mandatory for them, the clubs which we say are the community clubs. So we have clubs like William Wordsworth Literary Society. We also have like Aryabhat Mathematics Club, Mother Teresa Social Service Club, Kabir Sahitya Samaj, Newton Science Club, so on. The list is long. And here, this clubs fuel students' learning by stimulating creative thoughts, improving their social and organizational skill, as it has been already brought in, whetting their interest and chiseling their talents. Next, the students' favorite clubs are the hobby clubs or the extracurricular clubs. And in our school, I can see a big smile on Shubham's face, you know. In our school, we have clubs like Sudha Sagar Music Club, Mayuri Dance Club, Goraknath Yoga Club, Natikaji Art Club, Maradona Sports Club, and so on. And these clubs lay a lot of emphasis upon the physical, aesthetic, as well as the spiritual development of the students. Besides striking a healthy balance between the students' study and their social life, these clubs, which the students love, and why they love, because they especially nurture those students who strive to excel in the field, I would quote, who strive to excel in the field other than strict academics. In my personal experience, these clubs churn out the inner potential that is hidden within the deep layers of the students. Another significant clubs, which I said, which are from the cluster two, the community clubs, which our DAV promotes, are the clubs which are beyond the school. And we can also call them as community clubs or service clubs. And here we have Lions Leo Club, Rotary's Interact Club, Friends of Zoo, Retro Society, and so on. And these clubs are affiliated to national organizations, mostly involved in community service projects, which our students carry out either after school or both on their short and long holidays. Now, coming to the next part, I think you asked, what benefits do I see? I think the benefits are immense, because when students are actively involved in the clubs, one thing I have seen that they express themselves in much more assertive way. And also, as it has been declared or discussed earlier, they learn new skills which are useful not only in school, but thereafter when they step in the real world. And very importantly, they inherit a sense of commitment, competitive spirit, and emotional balance to accept the good and bad that life delivers to them. And again, all of us will agree that they learn and practice leadership skills and gain transferable skills such as communication, teamwork, problem solving, and of course, time management, which Achin has mentioned. I have seen that working practically. And these are the clubs which mirror students' real self, and they enable them to do multitasking and generate new ideas, especially the community clubs, you know, and they solely encourage them to serve others. And of course, this in turn makes them very, very successful individuals for their future life. This is what I have seen, and I'm speaking out of my experience. Thank you, Shubhaya.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I smiled when you mentioned hobby clubs because when I initially said that I would spend most of my time in activity clubs, those were the clubs that I was referring to.
Yeah, I could
Uh,
understand that. Yes.
Dr. Chakraborty, if I may come to you next. A bit of a crystal ball gazing question, this one. So far, we've heard about the benefits of clubs, that they have a positive impact. And we have also heard so much about, experiential learning being the need of the hour. Can academic subjects be taught through clubs? Can every subject become an activity club in itself?
Obviously, and that has to be done, because you see, until and unless you make learning very much attractive to the children. For example, you were showing about the ecosystem, right? So everyone would have thought the father is going to hunt the wild animals there out in the jungle with his son, and but he was actually going to hunt those people who were cutting down the trees to make paper or whatever the necessities might be. So see, if when we only hear, we only gather only a very small part of the information or the understanding, but when we see as well as we hear, we the visualization is there. I think that's a wonderful way to to introduce any subject, after that the children gets more interested. See, like I always tell my students, like if anyone has to say to you that get up early in the morning and you have to study, you feel such a bad thing to do every time, but if someone asks you to say sleep late and then you get up, as usual leisure, that I had to lie, but then you'll be happy. Now why I am trying to give you an example to this is because here we love what we do, and similarly, if the learning is becoming so lovable and children are so much attracted, then they will learn. Now nowadays rote learning is out, it is not there. It's more of understanding a concept and to application of the concept. That is what is required, and that is what we are trying to develop more and more. So to understand the basic concept, it is not only learning or reading through the books or listening to the teachers. I always say, and I very emphatically say today, that we have seen in this COVID pandemic that what we gained through online teaching. I particularly feel as an educator for the last 21 years that online education might be good for some group of students, but it is not at all good for all the students, because the in online education, in the class, teacher is to say speak, don't talk, and here that in the online teacher say please speak, please talk, please respond. It is such a, you feel so sympathetic towards the teachers, because they say, please get up, learn, see, listen to me and answer me. So the online education system is a good, but it can never replace the classroom teaching. So what I understand, that these two has to go hand in hand. So when we have a classroom teaching, and it has to be added on, the add-ons are the technology part, right? So for example, you spoke I spoke to about the conversation and phonetics. That also, if children listen, learn, hear, and the see, the understanding becomes more. So obviously, when we say learning, which children should learning should always have an outcome. If we want outcome in a learning process, the process has to have all the three. I say visual effect should be there, the application where the children listen to the teacher, and the children then applies it. So the technical part is very, very important. The visuals are very, very important. So I think all the chapters, the teacher first should show the visual through the visualization of the chapter, and then the teacher can teach in the class. That I think will give a better learning. And I always talk about blended learning. In my previous, I am very much in favor of the blended learning system and the flipped classroom, where children see the content, come to the school, and when the teacher teaches them, then the understanding of the learning outcomes obviously comes much better than the normal classroom teaching.
Wonderful, ma'am. Even at Notebook, we also say that it's impossible to replace the teacher, which is why we kind of design our videos so that you only take up about 20% of the class.
Yeah.
Because there's no point in a student sitting in a classroom environment and watching content, which is a one-way delivery, because the two-way interaction with the teacher is where the actual learning will happen.
Yeah.
Dr. Rao, if I may come to you next. Ma'am, you have been an expert in English. Do you think languages and the humanities subjects can be taught through activity clubs? I mean, science, it's a little easier, I guess, because we already have labs in place, right? Do you think English or social subjects can be taught through activity clubs?
I think, Shivayu, yes, of course, they can be taught very well through the activity clubs. Like, it depends, like, suppose I just give you one example, the theater club. If students are participating in the theater club and they are, along with the theater, developing their reading, their writing, and their, spoken skills, which are required for English language again. When I say reading, why? Because they read the dialogues, they understand what the dialogues are wanting to say, and they also get to know monologues, or they read plays and they're understanding. So that's the connection between the children in the theater or doing the theater plays, or the members of the theater club, to the English class, the reading part. Now, next is the writing part. When they are part of the theater, sometimes they start writing, they start writing their own part, or they just start summarizing, or they want to, shorten it or illustrate things that they're doing for the theater. But that is helping my English class as well, as where the children are learning the art of writing. Now, of course, when we say about the spoken skills of English, so when children are delivering the dialogues, when children are knowing how to articulate it, children know the pitch, children know the tone, children know, how we should deliver. Of course, they're learning the spoken, like spoken skills, which are required for a language. So like this, what I feel is that the English club which we have has very close connection to the other clubs, be it the debating club, or be it the Vocabum club, or be it the poetry club, or be it the theater club. Actually, they are doing all the activities which are required to be done inside the English classroom, outside the classroom, but very joyfully, and not exactly knowing that they are doing it. I think it can be very well connected it, and that is the beauty of the clubs, because we want students to do things outside the classrooms, not understanding, but in the contrary, they're bringing back that to the classrooms and boosting their academic achievement too. Because anybody who is from the theater club will obviously perform very well in their English subject, because you've asked in relevance to English, I have cited that example. And if you talk of, the wildlife photography club, the wildlife photography club of our students, our school, they go for doing this wildlife photography, but without knowing, not being very conscious, they are learning about the wildlife, which is very well connected to the social studies, or which is very well connected to their social studies, or other things what they need in science. So any clubs, any activity clubs which the students are getting involved in, that will surely help them to boost their academic achievements. And in fact, when they are the members of those clubs, they get more interested in the subject teaching learning process inside the classroom. I think they can be very well connected, what I feel, whether it is English or social, or any other language, or Hindi, it can be connected.
Wonderful, ma'am. But the sense that I'm getting here is that this will also need the teachers to be very differently tuned to teaching, right? Because so far, if I go back to my school days, a lot of times teachers were very blinkered by the curriculum that was given to them, and focus was on completing that curriculum in a
True.
given span of time. But
True.
here the also open to that variability, right? The student can provide any learning or any writing that will
Yes.
be judged along the same parameter.
Yes, of course it is. Of course it is.
Dr. Chakraborty, your take on this? Do you think the teaching skills also need to change accordingly? Ma'am, you're on mute.
I forgot to mention one club which I have in my school, and that's for the kindergarten school. Why I'll tell you how this club helps them. They are made to go around the campus. We are actually a day boarding and boarding and a day school type of school. So they go around around the entire campus, and then they pluck the leaves of the plants. So the leaves which are of different shapes. So they don't do anything. They are not taught anything. They're simply asked to collect the leaves of the plant which are having various shapes. And then they come it, and then they put it in their inside. We put them inside the old magazines and keep it for some time, and they paste it on the notebooks or on the clubs, and they make faces, all those small smileys and all. So why I'm telling you is, it's a very beautiful way, because when these children come to this grade of 4th and the 5th standard, where they study different venation, different type of veins in the leaves, and different shape of the leaves, and the position, that time they were not taught about all these things, venations and all those which are not required at the kindergarten level, but they recollect and recapitulate. Yes, in my lower class we used to collect the leaves were of different shape, yeah, leaves are of different shape, and the venation, that is, the veins are also different. So I mean, what I want to say is they can recapitulate very fast when they do anything on hands-on learning. So that is, I think, very important. And the teachers now are, see, I would like to state a simple thing. I have gone through the literature. There are three basic, best educational system in the world. One is the Ontario system of education, the Finland system of education, and the Singaporean system of education, where the teachers are, they come and they come through a very qualified services, and their teaching is not by chance, it is by choice. Right now, here also in our curriculum or in our structure, we have the CTET and all those examinations are in place, but I think we are not, the engine of the train has to be trained properly to pull on the bogies. So the engine is the, the school, the principal and the educators. They should be very well equipped. They should know how to put or how to explain a chapter to the children in a proper way. Obviously they have to redo, they have to even relearn to get new concept, and so that they can teach the children in a way where they understand much better. The hands-on learning should be there. It should be on experiment, it should be through visuals, it should be through connecting of activities, interdisciplinary. So all this, I think the teacher should be oriented towards this.
Wonderful. So, ma'am, that was the students are having fun in activity clubs.
Yeah.
The teachers also need to be geared to learning through activities. Now, the parents, right? When I was growing up, and I would tell my father that I'm going to school today, we have 3 hours of theater followed by 1 hour of debating. Then, if some classes happen, I'll attend them. He will not be very happy about it.
Yeah.
Has the attitude of parents towards activity clubs changed over a period of time?
I don't think really, but it depends on the part of the country where the school is. The school where I work for, or for which I work, is in Jharkhand and Bihar. So there the parents are more on academics. They are say these clubs have nothing to do. They don't understand the holistic development as much required for the overall development of a child, until it's they only want their children to be going for the UPSC examinations, doctors, engineers, and they don't understand anything beyond that. But now they are understanding that this is a must, because the holistic development will only come when it is integrated. We have an integrated system of education. So difficult at times to 70% of the parents now they understand, but yes, at times it was difficult at places where in Jharkhand and Bihar they give more importance only to education and education. School learning, बच्चे school में जाएंगे, they will study and they will come back. What does this activities hold for? They don't understand. They develop so many their own development skills like leadership. They know team building. They know how to take decisions. For example, we have an entrepreneur club. So that is there for senior classes. So the parents came and asked why, what was the need for that, rather than studying was more important. So I told them there are two things to any situation. Either we understand the situation, that there's a situation and we have to overcome the situation, we do that. But we require more people to understand that there might be such a situation, and that situation might arise, and that comes only through entrepreneurship as a club. So after that they understood, and then they said yes, so they went back. So it's way how you actually deal with the parents and motivate them.
Wonderful. Bhuvneshwari ma'am, is your experience in Kathmandu similar? Are parents open to clubs?
I would say I'm fortunate to have a different experience because our school, especially in Kathmandu, is known for its activities. And parents, whenever they are changing the schools, and we ask them one question, why are you changing the school? Because everything is fine with the other school. They say that it's too much of academics. My children are not getting any opportunities to participate in activities or go on for tours or excursions or field trips or, visits outside. So I think in my school, the situation is little different. In fact, we have to keep telling the parents, like your son, we are encouraging him or her to participate in the activities. His chance will come. He is doing well, but they are not happy. And, because of this, what we do is like, even in the cultural shows, it becomes so hectic for us because we go for 100% participation. And in fact, we do one cultural program for one class because otherwise you cannot accommodate all the students. So our scenario is little different because fortunately our students will not write, much of NEET examinations or, this IIT or NIT examinations and those competitive examinations. So for us, it's no, we don't have any problems from the parents. In fact, as I said, it's just the opposite. It is very difficult to tell them that, despite of having so many clubs, they're the members of so many clubs, still they're not happy. They say, no, 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 my son is not doing it, or my daughter is not doing it. You didn't take him in this program, or your, teachers have discouraged him in this program. So for us, it's little different, I would say. And I would say that we are fortunate. And because of this, activities, and our focus is so much in these activities, our students are excelling even in academics. Because when you see of all the CBSE schools in Kathmandu, I would say that our results are the best again. But we don't focus much on academics. It is just happening side by side because children love to come to school and children love to pop out of their classrooms and get involved in activities. And when I say, it may sound very impractical to many schools, but in our school we have 4 or 5, altogether 5 halls with one big auditorium, and all are packed every day with programs, and still parents are coming, children are participating, and things are going on. So I would say that, yes, we don't have the problem here. And maybe most of the schools in Nepal, they don't have this, that take on academics, that children should only study. We don't have it here.
Ma'am, is it because a large percentage of Nepal students are aspiring to go abroad?
Could be. It could be because it's not that, they have to pass a very, very strict competitive examinations. And moreover, here students are very much, ready to study all the contemporary subjects, like, they love liberal, arts, and they like to go abroad, yes. But, it's, I again would not say that, yes, they are not becoming doctors or engineers or, serious academic, serious career oriented person. No, they are becoming, but maybe it's playing a part in it. I cannot solely say that, yes, this could be the reason, but whatever it is, it's not that, that the parents are objecting for the activities in our kind of situation or our kind of schools.
Very interesting. I'm sure Dr. Chakraborty will agree with me when I say that this is perhaps the exact opposite of what we see here, because
Yeah.
you just said that from activities, academic results are a collateral benefit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here,
Yes.
academic results are the target. Anything activity oriented will be a collateral benefit, perhaps.
Yeah.
Ma'am, my last question: do you
Yes,
see
yes.
any change on or any impact on your activity clubs because of the pandemic, or parents becoming more concerned about the proximity of students, or would it be the opposite, that they now understand the need of so many other skills? I'll come to Dr. Chakraborty first.
Yeah, I feel the parents now think that how much school is important to them. I first think the children there in for long 10 months, they understand. Now I don't parents won't come and complain to us about the children because they have been with the children for 24 hours into 20 months. So I think yes, the children they also want to come back to school. Parents also want to send them, and the activities will move on. And I think that will be given much importance now, because now they understand the real learning situations and real learning which need to happen. So to me, I feel that the clubs, because now see, we have introduced the TEDx speaker club and the bloggers club that are there, but apart from that, the more emphasis now will be on the community club. because in the community club, what we did as a case study, I would just mention the children of this club. They went to the places where there are, downtrodden people who don't get proper meal and food. So they used to cook the food in the school mess, because I told the school is a boarding house also. They take the food there, and they used to give the food to the downtrodden children who don't get proper meal, even a single meal a day. So what I saw is that the amount of food they waste, or the amount of food they leave on their plates in the dining hall after they join the club, was very, very mere. They don't leave. They understand the value of food, the value of the need, the value of sympathy. They know how it is important. So I think we will be now taking this more towards making it a little bit from class 6 onwards, the community club. Other clubs will remain in the school as it is. It will be functional, because without the club activities, education cannot go, because it has to go hand in hand. It's just not only classroom, it has to be activity also. So they will go hand in hand. But along with this, a new club which will be adding from the session 2021-22 from April is the community club, and we will be taking it very seriously, because the EQ of the children should be developed. We are trying to inculcate more of EQ, because EQ is much given more preference even than the IQ level. The companies say IQ, we can do it, but EQ has to be inculcated in this children. So I think clubs would also would be there, and it would be more forceful, and it will be more appreciated. That is what I have to say.
Wonderful, ma'am. Not only your focus on the EQ, but the fact that you're looking at employability, which I think has been lacking in our education system for the longest time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. Dr. Roy, if I may come to you with the same question, I don't think the pandemic effect in Nepal was perhaps as bad as it was in India.
It was not much,
Yeah.
because we have already reopened our schools, and even the kindergarten students are coming to school. But yes, right now the parents are little fearful, and they are unwilling little for the activities, because we are still maintaining the social distancing and the sanitizers and masks and everything. But I think in a month's time, or in a 2 months time, we will resume our activities. But maybe initially we'll resume it in smaller scale, and then we will go in a full-fledged way. But I think for us, it will take around now 6 months to have the activities like the pre-pandemic time. It'll take around 6 months, because we want to go very slowly, and we just don't want to take any risk with the students and bringing them together. And though they say that it's students, it doesn't affect that much, but yet we need to be very, very careful for a while. So right now, yes, my parents are fearful. Right now they're saying, no, ma'am, no activities, because they know they are into so much of activities. But I think in a month's time, we'll resume. And in a 6 months time, we will go in a full-fledged way for our school.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks to both of you for making time for this. I know both of you have very packed schedules, so this could not have been easy on a Saturday evening. Achin will do the honors of the official vote of thanks, but again, it's been a privilege playing host to both of you. Achin, over to you.
So I think really a great session we had, a very interesting and seamless, and some very good examples also came forward. But sir, as always, thank you so much for giving us a great start, and for quoting some great examples of achievers and stalwarts, and how their entire journey started at school, and how indeed these activity clubs contributed to the entire process. Dr. Chakraborty, some very good points you made, ma'am. Undoubtedly, I'm sure they stay with the audience, be it in terms of your emphasis on community club and blended learning. Also, the fact that education systems, yes, be it the Ontario education system or Finland, which is known for great schooling, or Singapore. So you're very right that, teaching by choice and not by chance is one of the most essential ingredients. But I'm sure that as we progress as a nation, as a society, I've seen I've seen some really great, fantastic talent coming to this profession. New generation of educators, because my role takes me or gives me the opportunity to interact with so many schools, so many educators. And I'm indeed impressed with the kind of commitment to the cause that I see, especially during pandemic when we interacted with so many schools. We've really seen this hands-on. And yes, I completely agree, Dr. Chakraborty, that your emphasis on EQ, undoubtedly, that I guess is without any doubt or debate, that EQ is something which 100% all corporates or be it any sphere of life, which is really very, very important. Dr. Rao, I'm very happy to know about your school. So ma'am, when you were telling me, it really gives me so much of happiness to hear and to know that parents, they give so much importance to activities and their focus. I think the importance of activities need not be overemphasized in terms of holistic development of a child. And indeed, this is a live example of it. When you said that in spite of the fact that there's so much of focus on activities, academics are not being compromised. The fact that your school students did so well among all schools in Kathmandu in terms of academics, in terms of their academic grade scores, really goes on and again proves the point that activities, extracurriculars, they again help in terms of improving academic outcome. So I think great example. I also like, ma'am, the way you explained that how we can actually join the dots to get a complete picture. For instance, how theatre club can indeed contribute in terms of understanding literary subjects better, or for that matter, other clubs. And I really wish you and your school all the best to resume your activities, as you rightly said, that you're careful, you're ensuring that all social distancing norms are being abided by. But in 6 months' time, you expect to ramp up to pre-pandemic levels, and we indeed look forward to that. So a great session we had. I thank all of you. I also thank members of our esteemed audience for your time here today and for supporting us along the way. We really look forward to your continued support in the days to come. Thank you. Take care and goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. Our pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.